Test 1, 2. There we go. That should work. Test the voice. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've seen worse. Hey DJ, welcome. Yeah, already. Also, I always have to do these tests because sometimes I can have surprises, especially if nobody's chatting, where my voice is either too low, too high, or if I'm muted and I leave myself on mute. So it's good to check, double check, triple check. Let's put this back on and continue. And hello everybody else. How have you been, DJ? I saw Redact struggling quite a bit with that challenge. It made me laugh countless times. I felt his pain in a way because I've been there and I know how difficult Ayla is to get the hang of. So it amused me to no end. But yeah, I think he did it faster than I did. A lot faster, actually. I'm like, it took me a few attempts just to realize that I was like, the two wars had different targets. And then I realized, oh, wait a second, if they have different targets for different duchies, maybe I can do something about that. So yeah. Good thing I wasn't streaming back then, because it would have been quite the show. Is he stupid? Is he... What's wrong with him? I'm feeling bad for him. Yeah, quite the entertainment. So then, what are we waiting? We're waiting for her to die. So our sons, well, daughters, can finally... Oh, wait 1 second, I need to check one thing. If the music is too loud. Test 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4 test. Let's try again. It's a struggle. 1, 2, 3, 4 test. It's too loud. I don't know, the music sounds to be very loud in my ears, but not as loud on stream for some reason. Oh, maybe this will fix it. Yeah, I think this fixed it. Alright. So testing that playset merge script that's in testing phase before it's released to public. Use it to merge my mod list to of 100 mods. Oh god. Yeah, I remember your stream with 100 mods. Didn't I visit you back then? I think I did. And you had like crashes once every 30 or 1 hour? And you were looking in the debug logs to find exactly what caused it. You are brave, let me tell you. Maybe I'm mistaking you with somebody else. Either way, you both are brave if that's the case. Because I would not risk that. Hell no. Ah, it was Saint. Were you the one who told Saint about the mods? Yeah, there we go. I knew something was was about you too. I remembered something, but not everything. Yeah, you guys are very brave. I couldn't put my head to do that. The only time I did that was with Skyrim VR, and I'm not doing that again. There were like over 200 mods and I had to pay for a subscription to have them installed because I would have to click, or over 300, I can't even remember. because I had to click 3 times for each individual mod and multiply that by over 300, and also waiting for the mods to download and install and everything else. Yeah, I even got a subscription to install them. Oh, that's good. Maybe in the future I'll have a look. But better use them while you can, because after the DLC is released, all those mods will need to get, well, not all, but some of them will definitely need to get fixed and patched. I think it's gonna be an interesting DLC, that's for sure. Okay, let's have a look here. So she's 62, she's gonna die soon. Her dragon is in the dragon pit, hopefully. We don't have to chase it around afterwards. I'm not even sure if I should put the rest of the dragons inside the dragon pit. I don't know, we will see. Isolate capital. All merged into one mod? Interesting. Yeah, I'll definitely want to have a look at it after I'm done with A Song of Ice and Fire. That, and I've also heard that, what's the word? Elder Kings is a very interesting mod that I should check out. So I might do just that. Okay, let's play it, let it run. There's also one more thing that I need to do. I should change my lifestyle focus to intrigue, because I want truth is relative. I need to fabricate some damn hooks on my liege. I can't even declare a war because I don't have hooks on him. It's insane. My courtier with my other courtier, they made a baby. Thanks for informing me. In the distance I hear my grandson Bender laughing at play with his fellows. I'm Elaine, I'm the hero. He is reenacting the guardians of the faith of the seven holy sites for his adoring peers. I mean, you don't look like Elaine, which is her daughter. The children look up to Bender with wonder and adoration, captivated by the tale. My heart soars to hear those legendary names and places passing the lips of the next generation with such vigor and enthusiasm. The one day all of us will turn to dust, the legend will never die. Yeah, I don't care about Bender, of all things. Let me see if this legend is getting any better. Ah, it's finally spreading properly. Thank God. Can I petition him for something interesting? Capital development. Okay. Let's petition. Okay, I mean, I could just take the dragon, but fine. I'm in dilemma since I'm hyped for the CK3 update. There's a game that releases the same day too, and I really want to play that too. Ah, okay. Is it what was it called? Ah, I can't remember the name. It's not a grand strategy game. Is it a game like... can't remember any games for some reason. Is it a strategy game? Let me put it this way. I'm thinking of colonialism, but it's not colonial. What's the game called? Civilizations. Civilizations. Is it similar to Civilizations? Because I've heard something about a game similar to Civ being released in that time frame. Hide and peek. Doing wardrobe. I want him to keep lustful. Sure. He's brave, ambitious, humble, and lustful. Okay. Grand strategy. That was. No, Forex. I was thinking of Forex, not grand strategy for some reason. Proposition accepted. I am escorted to the King Lofar's throne room, where he beckons me to approach and address him. He smiles warmly at me and states, "Absolutely, friend. I shall dispatch my agents immediately to take care of this matter. Thank you, liege." Actually, I should also move. Nah. I should also move these guys. So first, I need somebody focused on intrigue. Secondly, let's increase development in Dragonstone. Good. .0625. Quite a few decimals there. What else? Increase control. Trying to increase control anywhere in particular? No. Then train commanders. You could find some secrets back in Dragonstone. And I could have you converting faith now that I think about it. But this will be so long and boring. Oh, you're fabricating a claim? What? Where are you fabricating your claim? Ah, I see. Yeah, I remember. I wanted to make my son a duke before I die. Hey Shmoof, welcome. How have you been? Yeah, if this finishes... Delayed by 21 days. Yeah, cure him. You got this. You and your 21 learning. Let's go join a tournament. Where is it? Not far. Forest guide, this will work. Will more knights join? 9 in my entourage. Okay. Good, good, good. Let's do it. If she dies, she dies. By the way, guys, let me know if the connection is stable, or if it's lagging, or if it causes any issues. Because currently it shows it's a bit unstable for some reason, and I think it's because of my bitrate. Average stream bitrate too high. I was trying to raise the numbers, but apparently if it's too high it can also cause problems. Cast down, sure, cast it down. I don't qualify, as always. Score increases slightly, that's it. Let me check one more thing. Do I have everything on? I do. Good thing I keep these artifacts with fertility, which are very useful. At her early age of 60. Look at how much healing I have. Immune to stress. Oh, I didn't participate? I got there too late, that's why. Understandable. Armory break-in. Shit, these accursed children, my grandson Bender and his compatriot Ashleen were caught red-handed, having snuck into the armory. Don't they know that weapons are dangerous? I mean, it kind of fits Bender. I don't know if you guys watched Futurama, but this behavior fits him very well. One of the servants caught them in the act. Elaine was crying and bleeding on the floor while Bender simply played on with his stolen sword. Apparently Bender didn't want to stop having fun just because Elaine messed up. Oh my god. You are like Bender. Callous. Or arbitrary. Can make him honest, impatient. Is my grandson, will he be my heir? Maybe. Oof. Studying diplomacy. Honest would be better for diplomacy. Ah, that's great. I'll let him be impatient. Thinking way too much for just a simple trait. Haven't even decided who's gonna be my next successor. Glad to hear that, Smooth. What do you think of the mod so far? I'm not sure how much you've seen of it regarding dragons and how they function, their events. Nestor takes to the skies. Now this guy did something very surprising. He got his hands on Drogon, which is definitely the biggest dragon ever. And I'm not sure how. Maybe because the dragon pit was open to dynastic members? But I thought it was open only for close family members. Let me check. Laws. Oh no, I set it to house? Maybe I did set it to house. Okay, then it makes sense. No more complaining on my side. So basically he had access to the dragon pit and started trying to bond with the dragon. It's good that the AI does this, because it will spread the dragon population. Okay, Nestor has managed to claim the Black Dragon Drogon. The rumors spread rapidly about Drogon. They claim she is the fattest of all dragons. And that's because she's tyrannic Leviathan. It's not fat, it's big boned. Fattest of all, crossing land and sea only in search of yet another meal. But such hearsay is oft misguided. Nestor joins the ranks of many dragon riders, past and present, who have made a home amongst the clouds. It is yet to be seen how he will handle the power that comes with such coveted position. He's also unlanded. Oh, he's now in my court. What? I'm being honest, I've been very hesitant about mods, but from what I've seen on your stream, it looks real fun. I should try it out after the end. Yeah, you can talk to DJ about mods. He's currently playing around with over 100 mods from what he told me. So if you ever want to talk with an expert, I only have two. It's this one, the Game of Thrones, and another mod that I barely use. It's this one, which is like an advanced character finder. It's very good for the positions in court because, you know, calculating it yourself if that person will be suitable or not for a specific position will be crazy. Like for a jester, from what I remember, you need to have a high diplomacy. You get also a bonus if you're gregarious, and all those things add up. So it's pretty crazy. But get yet another claim on a duchy. And I think I'm gonna use all these claims. Hopefully they're gonna get transferred to my heir. And also mods are very easy to install, as long as you're not installing 100. You just go to the workshop page, find the mod you want and click subscribe, and that's it. That's pretty much it. Oh, you also have to enable the mods in that paradox pop-up. I think that's pretty much it. Do I need to find your secret? Or tier? Wow. Yeah, we'll see about those 100 mods. I'm still not convinced. Grand Tournament. Oh, what did they do? They spilled drinks on me. Watch where you're going, she burbled, gesturing accusingly at me with the cup. You should be more careful. Oh, I should also double check if I can participate. You are engaged in melee. Okay. I am participating. Right? Or not? Shouldn't I have events about it? Yeah, I think I missed my chance. Tempered sound, cloud clamors, blah blah blah. Lord Ilfer's team 1. Okay, this time. Nope, that was it. Next is the ceremony. I missed my chance to participate. You wouldn't let Granny participate in the tournament. Shameful behavior. Travel chop chop. The massive chopping block in the middle of the logging camp of Woodstruck has seen much use. Of course, it's called Woodstruck. It looks like it's always been there, even before man walked this earth. My shoulders are tense and my forearm trembles slightly from build-up stress as I approach the magnificent wooden trunk. I carefully place a piece of discarded timber at the podium and, in one swift motion, raise my axe. So I can try to chop it and I'll lose stress for some reason. Maybe because I'm brave. Because otherwise... yeah, it's because I'm brave. Yeah, it's fine. I want to keep my leg. No. Truth is relative. Perfect. I'm back home. My liege, where are you? Where is it? Hostile, fabricate hook. 5 because of the damn Kingsguard. Really? You're protecting him from hook fabrication? You're killing me. How are they protecting the king from having hooks fabricated? They're fucking warriors. I mean, I could try either way, but 5% really? Yeah, I can't even invite anybody else to help me. What if I try to befriend him again? Can I make him my best friend somehow? How can I get a hook on him? How could I get a hook? I mean, I could check for more spies. Maybe one of them is actually useful. Dennis, right? Okay, Dennis. Recruit a spy. Yeah, I guess that's one way to do it. Just go around the city and beat everybody that is thinking of fabricating hooks on the leash. Like the gold cloaks and Daemon, right? Beating the populace. Do you remember? So tell me, my lady, my daughter Elaine voice snaps me out of my thoughts, and I find her waving her hand, the quill spilling ink over the floor. What about that time that Lady Anara defeated Lady Ugh. Yeah, that time. It was quite the moment. Yes. Especially in the brothel. They're gonna have their hands full. Literally. Oh my god, I clicked it too slowly. Oh, wait. Is it back? It's back. A new dragon enters the world. Oh, this guy who finally managed to get a dragon. Ugh, he got burned a bit by a Drogon when he tried to approach him. Fear and wonder collide as news spreads. A dragon's egg has hatched, the small folk say in hushed tones around the world. Their hushed tones convey a clear skepticism about dragons and the way of their entering the world, fire, blood, both. It is clear that Joffrey hatched his egg. However he managed it, Joffrey has named his new deep red hatchling Lycaxis. This guy is ambitious if nothing else, even though he doesn't have the trait. He really wanted a dragon. Like Aemon, right? What was his name from House of the Dragon? The one that ended up with the biggest dragon in a scar. Approve the documents, see it done. See it done indeed. Which one was it? This or this? I think it was this. Revoke title. 6. Aemond, was it? Let me check. I wasn't kidding when I told you guys that my memory is horrible. So yeah, Aemond. Prince Aemon Targaryen. The one that looks like he's 30 while all other people of his age look like they're 19. In the show, of course. Okay, let's see. Hersey. No, I don't want to banish my heir. Good. War declared on... What? Oh, he declared war on me because I wanted to take his title. I mean, sure, if he really wants to. He's a brave lad. Yeah, he's also my rival. So you can imagine that he's not happy. It's not the first time I took took things from him. But children come first. What? This is a new event? The conflict between Pentos and Star Hills interested me a little until my council summary of the Battle of Prince's Quarter appeared. I know immediately that something terrible has happened to my son. There, amongst the dispatches, it reads, "We confirm Lord Conrad was killed staunchly resisting the Star Hills levies. He was one of the many who fell before Alatoraxis, dragon of Lady Tansy." So my daughter was fighting with my son, and my son got killed. Why were you two in conflict? Ugh. Okay, bit of a shame. I think I know what they were trying to do. Yeah. So basically I bet he declared war. No, these two were warring. And of course they had to join. Interesting. Fabricated gossip. Tarnished reputation. Scheme success, sure. Give me some scheme success chance. Okay, so that means a dragon is free. Let's try to get him back in the kennel. Manage. Select dragons. Show me living dragons. Owned and tamed. My stupid son decided to name his dragon Pork Chop. And I said, you know what, I'll let you name it Pork Chop. I had an entire event about it. Are you sure you want to name your dragon Pork Chop, which is seen by the populace as godlike? This would not be appropriate, my son. And I said, no, let him pick his own dragon name. Thanks for joining again, Shmoof, and have a great stream. Let me send you also there we go, a shout out. If anybody wants, go ahead and also follow Shmoof. He has a great and very entertaining stream. I'll also drop by a bit later after I'm done here. Hopefully my family doesn't die in Dragonfire. Anytime. Have a great stream. This guy is doing his thing. Really? I don't have enough troops? What kind of fort do they have here? No, mine doesn't have dragons. Not one that's named Pork Chop. You're missing out, I'm telling you. He became gracious envoy. Okay. Let's see. Can make another admiral. It's good. Yeah, I have no chance of finishing this. I'm able to upgrade my legend. That's something. Inspired person. Merely decent. Nah, I'm good. Good. Of course. So be it. Disband all. Revoke title. I'm gonna revoke your entire duchy. Because you were such a brat about it. And now I'm going to revoke your last county. Good. Good. I'm gonna give you this and the High Lordship. And you're gonna be a duke, my son. Good. Alright. Another grand tournament. This time I'm gonna get there quickly and efficiently. No more screwing around. On Dragonback. That's how you make an entrance. No. Grand tournament cancelled. To war, called Lady Anara as captains as they thunder past, their horns bellowing and banners flashing brilliantly against the sky. That ogre leader Daemon. The peasant? Really? You stopped the entire thing for a faction revolt? For a peasant leader called Daemon, who has black hair. Has no regard for a grand tournament. It seems the event is so be cancelled as Lady sends for his envies and pray to the warrior for victory. A grand tournament is noble and worthy amusement, but the call to arms rings louder than any other. There I go back home again. Children lack guardians. And my other grandson wants to be martial focused. They're both brave. I really like brave. Let's go to a wedding instead. Yes. What do I want to do here? Spread legend. Making knights of children. My child is now at the age to squire. Perhaps I could command a vassal of my realm to squire him. I believe Lord Talbard would be great. Yes. Do it. A secret exposed. Wait. Instead of that, can I befriend diplomacy? No, he's not part of the wedding. Figures. Pay ransom, sure. I don't want no trials by combat. Please, everybody get out. You. Are you good for anything? 15. You could be good. Good. You. 11. Sure, join in. Every counselor loses opinion. Still Knight needs a successor. Sick. Oh, and I can also make a new claim for a weapon. Let's do just that. Or I should win a war? So basically I want to use my 10,000 prestige before I die, and there are two ways that I can think of right now, which would be interesting. Either by fabricating a claim for another Valyrian sword, and I can grant it to one of my kids, which would be, you know, a Valyrian sword, but I would also need to actually take it. Or I could try to attempt and capture another kingdom once I'm done with the activity, and then just destroy the elective succession law, which will cost me like 7,500 last I checked. Legendary Feaster, sure. Please, as happy couple as expected. The happy couple as expected. Raise them, sure. I think I'm gonna try to grab more territory. Lord Albert, Pyre, Lord Lisario. I think Lord Albert. Also, I should continue building things. It's time. It's time for them to get it on. Giggity giggity. Dun, dun, dun. Let's upgrade this. Let us upgrade this. And upgrade this. I'm focusing on stables because I have quite a few men-at-arms that I could use. That are also cav. My prestige here must not be overshadowed. I've been meaning to talk to Venera. Perfect. Okay, and now let's also appoint. Let's destroy this and go to my accolades. Still Knight. Myron, my courtier. I have to invite him, don't I? No, I have to make him my knight. Let's see. So Myron has 12 prestige. Go back. Myron force. Perfect. Good. Now, where should I declare war? Lismere. The city of Mir. It's a big city though. As big as they get. Will I die during the war? Is the question. As if I do, my daughter does have a dragon, but it's not that big. A tiny dragon compared to mine. Mir. Let's do it. Good. Okay, that's enough. Let's get out there. Oh, I can find about a Kingsguard secret. Sure. Let's try to blackmail him. Gain a bit of stress. Should we disembark right on top of them? Well, not right on top, but close enough. We're gonna hunt them down, these little piggies. Doom delivered. This will be remembered as one of the most decisive military victories in the realm history. Thanks to the heroic actions of Elaine on Dragonback, the enemy leadership has been devastated. The enemy commanders met before the battle to discuss strategy and positioning, but such a group provided the perfect target for Jedrian. It's my daughter's dragon, so she came with me. Oof. 2 dragons. Terillas, as well as many other commanders and warriors of note, were all but met with dragon fire. Those not dead are horrifically burned, thanks to Elaine and her dark yellow beast. The enemy is disorganized and the ranks and file now falter without clear guidance. We will most assuredly win this battle. Great glory to us. Good. Yeah, I can afford losing a bit. You lose 1125 to get Great Translation School for 30 years. I'm not gonna live 30 years. We can have her do that. She's a novice maester. Interesting. Ooh, 28 learning. Interesting. Dusty libraries. Sure, why not? Now I'll need to get here, right? Free City of Mir. Gonna be a bit of a challenge, but nothing I can't handle. How about I use the dragon? Get a bit of stress, but I will destroy a lot of fort. It's no longer my maester. Can I assign her as maester? You. Can women even be maesters in this game? Something tells me they might not be able to. Nope. They can't. So it was just a bad RNG basically. For her to get the Maester perk. Let's send for a regular Maester and have it done. Arrogant, generous, fickle. I got a new item. What is it? A rabbit foot? Just what I wanted. To make everything better. Where's the rest of the rabbit? Okay, is there another? Yes, it is. This one. Good. Let's continue and make our way to the capital. I'm only going to use the dragon sparingly. Because there is a chance that he might die if I keep on having him attack forts. Okay. Perfect. Let's come here. Child of my dynasty, my chronicler and my son. Are you genius? You're a genius. Good. Good. So be it. Good. Now, who's going to be next? You know what I kind of want? I would have liked... Oh, maybe he didn't have a dragon. Yeah, maybe he didn't have one. You... Which one should I make into a king? Let's first go to Free City and let's go to the laws. Cannot usurp a primary title of somebody fighting a war. That war better be quick. Okay. So let's have another look and inspect. You have your spouse. Good. And you have lots of kids. And it's in Pentos. Alright. You're a bastard. You had a husband, you made some kids. But not anymore. Are the kids any good? I've seen worse. Let's wait with her. Let's have her... Okay, you, my son. Can get one. And you as well, but you're not really my son. You were just adopted. Literally. Literally adopted. Good, so you'll have to be the one. Grand titles. How many can you handle? You have 8 stewardship. And your wife is very strong with stewardship. I'll grant you as much as I can. They also create a duchy for him. That might be helpful. I can usurp this. And I can also usurp this. Good. He'll be a double duke then. Perfect. Double duke, grant. 1, 2, 3, wow. Here. And then this. Perfect. Good. Good. 5 out of 3. That's decent. Okay, I also need to usurp that title. He's in a war and he's losing badly. Defending against Lady Elena of Dagger Knight Song in the War of Revenge. War of Revenge? Sure. As long as I don't die again. Can you lose the war quicker? Oh no, I'm infirm. That can't be good. Close, close. Oh, I should release all the prisoners, shouldn't I? Prisoners. Release. Good. How is my city building going? Going very well. More constructions, more constructions. The bloody gate. Moon's approach. Good. Children lack guardians. Oh god, what do you want? You want Marshall. Why do you want Marshall? You can't be... Let's change it. Change it to stewardship, I guess. Guardian, stewardship. My grandson, what do you want? You want learning? I can give you learning. So much learning that you can't carry. My grandson, you want intrigue. This one is nice. A cursed fox hide. Excellent. Hyena hide. Thanks, guys. Draco blinks for a clutch. 2 eggs. Good, good. More dragons. That made me cough. So you have a dragon. You have a dragon. You do not have a dragon. You're gonna get a dragon. Sunburst or frost? I don't know anything about you. Let's say sunburst, because you're beautiful. Daemon Baelish, and this one is Hector Baelish. Hector is the hunchback. Let's avoid the hunchback for now and give it to Valena instead. Good. I can't give any more, right? Good. I can also teach dragon lore. You get dragon lore, you get dragon lore. Have child study language, all tongue. Do you already know Valyrian? Yes, you do. Your old tongue sounds perfect. You study language Valyrian. Maybe I should make Valyrian my court language. Do you know Valyrian? You do. Look at you being wise. Both a hunchback and a wise person. A wise batch. A wise back. Yes, you can study Valyrian, and I will also think you're too young for me to teach you dragon lore. Oh no, I already taught you. Good. More gold. I'm really keeping an eye on this because I don't want him to private levy. I don't want him to do anything weird. He's in 2 wars. Who are you fighting? Conquest of ships of Ragged Hill. God. Still 5%. I don't even know why I'm even bothering. It's not like it's gonna make any difference. Worst case scenario, it's gonna find out. Won't be pretty. So the problem is that I cannot attack within Westeros without having a hook on my leash. And the only way I know how to make hooks on somebody is to fabricate hooks. I'm sure there are like 10 other ways, but I can't think of any. And I can't fabricate a hook on him because he has the King's Guard. The White Cloaks. The White Cloaks? The King's Guard, right? That's the name for it. White Cloaks are in Wheel of Time. Oh well, my husband died. She's holding on pretty spectacularly. Knowing she's also infirm. I don't know how she can walk the dog while being infirm. A dragon enters the world. So you were the first. That's surprising. Chaotic and excitement and fear overwhelm the ports and markets across the sea. A mere child, Valena has hatched a beast that will grow so powerful. Valena has named her new deep teal hatchling Shallfire. You know, in a few generations, all these kids will start fighting with each other. And we'll have dragon duels, we'll have burnt people, we'll have everything and more than we could ever want. I can get a secret on my cousin. Sure. Non-believer. Blackmail. What else? No, I'm not gonna convert faith. Are you insane? Raising rumors. As I promenade down the stairs and across the courtyard, I reach one of the corridors from where the servants will watch the children. But it's not them that I find. Malefa's voice reaches me. This is my lustful courtier. Was married to my other courtier. Loud and clear, and I conceal myself among the stone pillars. What was Lane doing anyway? Was there any of us there to see her so-called legend that Lady Anara so proudly makes us sing now? Call her out on it. How dare you talk about my daughter that way? You should be ashamed of yourself. My grandson can get married. You can just leave. That's another thing you can do. Ah, you can't dismiss him. My granddaughter can also get married. I wanted to get them hooked up, my grandson and my granddaughter. But I don't think I can arrange marriage. Can I? That's not him. Dynasty Baelish. Surprisingly, I can't. I can get sister and brother hooked up as Targaryens. Does that make any sense? Like, I even have the culture Targaryen. Maybe it's because of my religion? Cousin marriages. Yep, marriage between cousins allowed. Cousin fornicators, that's what they are. Fine, I don't know, I can just send them to marry randomly. Because I have no intention, they have no traits. He's just lustful, he's not part of my dynasty. He's useless, I don't know. Search for a matrilineal marriage. And have him marry somebody else who's lustful. Let's see if I can find somebody in my dynasty. My granddaughter and vassal. Maybe not. Have fun there. Next. What's next? It was my granddaughter. Where is my granddaughter? Granddaughter. Good. You. Marry. Whomever. You. Go marry you. Excellent. Can I usurp it? Come on. Oh, he's in another war. My grandson can marry. My grandson who is from my liege. I haven't yet decided which one of these grandkids will be my heir after my daughter. Should I make a decision now? I think they all have dragons. Okay. This one can marry anyone. Couldn't care less. And my daughter who's 42. Sure, go and marry somebody as well. Off you go. You get a partner, and you get a partner. Everybody gets a partner. Bender, you became average. Charismatic negotiator. This daughter is 41. Does she have any? She has good traits. She has robust. In that case, let's look for somebody from the Baelish dynasty. Yes, he'll be perfect for her. Perfect. Sent off. I'm basically trying to spread my dynasty as much as possible. Alliance formed. I don't care about the alliances at all. Beautiful would go well with intelligent. It's 10, there's not a big age difference. And intelligent will also merge with quick and might give a genius. Okay, off you go. Who else is left? Good. Joffrey. Joffrey is the only one left, but you are not married, this doesn't matter. I could get somebody... It actually doesn't matter. I could get somebody with high sum of all skills. Just to give me some boosts here and there. Take this, Grandpa. Traveling Maester has come to my keep seeking a place to stay for a short while before resuming his journey to the court of the lord he will be serving. Any Maester will be welcome. Accept your marriage proposal. Is he sick as well? No, he's just wearing rags for no reason. Poisoning. While walking through the corridor of my keep today, I ran into my guest Gerald and began speaking to him. During our conversation, I noticed that he had a link of lead on his chain. I brought this up to him and we began talking at length about poisons and antidotes. Gives me nothing. I have left a good impression. Good. Come on, just let me usurp this. Don't make me assassinate you. I can learn a secret about my Septon. Can I share my secrets with my daughter? This would be something that should be added. Because I would want my daughter to actually blackmail him, rather than I do it. I don't think I can. Ailing with age, aching. By the will of the mother, why am I so sore? I slept well as I usually do, but whenever I stretch I feel my bones all but sparking as they scrape against each other. I stare down at my hands, closely observing the nails, yellowing with age atop skin that's wrinkling more than I'd like. It's difficult to imagine that youth once surged through this flesh, hot and vital. Gah, everyone's joints creak like this. Gain a bit of stress. Can modify some contracts. That's it? Ah, he lost the title. But that's fine. Who got the title? Somebody must have had it. Oh no. It was destroyed? Okay. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I think it's a good thing. No, I'm going to create it either way. Because I don't want to bother. I want my heir to focus on it. Create Kingdom of Mir. 400. Create. Good. Male preference, primogeniture law. Perfect. Let's see if that changes. No, it doesn't, so it sticks. Good. If I make my son the king, I won't have him as my vassal. Let's keep it like this for now. I'll decide later. The reason for that is in case rebellions start. I'm not sure if my son will be able to handle them. If rebellions do start occurring, because it is a big city, and they certainly will, because it's of a different culture and so on and so forth, he might not be able to pacify and win those wars. And if that happens, a lot of bad things will happen. He might get deposed and so on and so forth. Okay, Spotted fever, it's a major, and it's here. I don't care. It's too far away to bother me. My granddaughter, though, is gonna have fun. Okay, well in that case I can declare another war. Actually 2 more wars. And I can capture more territory to give to my sons. Do I have sons left? I have 1 son left. Son of wolves, because he was raised by wolves. As in literally raised by wolves. So if that's the case, let me get him a decent wife. It's inheritable. This looks like a nice wife for you. Good. Liz. Draconically conquer kingdom. Free city of Liz or kingdom of the disputed lands? The other option would be Pentos. So I'm slowly and surely running out of land. What is this? It's a duchy. Okay, can I... No, he's at war. I wanted to force vassalage on him, but I'm not sure if I could. I need the Kingdom of Disputed Lands, so I will need to declare war. Conquer Kingdom of Disputed Lands. Good. This capital is right here. Okay. So let's put the army here. How many troops does he have? 11,000. Yeah, I'm good. Let me change You... Perfect. There I go sieging again. Royal Armory. New fascination can be selected. Yes, that's a good one. You know what? Oh, I can't use the dragon because I'm infirm. But what if I put my daughter or one of my sons? If I'm infirm, I'm guessing I cannot use the dragon in combat, right? Yeah. That's what I'm guessing. Okay, whatever. Let's have this guy. Prisoners can be ransomed. Keep on banking your shield. Has anybody ever used Assault Fort recently? Because I haven't used this feature since the first time I played the game, I think. And I got horrific losses. Why does it still exist if it's such a... if it has such a high penalty? Okay, you're fighting somebody else. Okay. Come here. Oh my god, oh good god, how many forts do you have? Mission impossible, I swear. Let's split off. Oh, you can't siege this? What about this? But this you can siege. Station besiegers. Reorganize. Leave more levies here as besiegers. Take the rest. And let's see if I can find them. Not through here though. 370, yes, great. It's not that much. Which one am I missing? It's this one. Why am I getting casualties? It's part of this. Is that a bug? Oh, is it because I'm going through there? No. Why can't I pass through here? Okay. Come here. Wow, excellent pathing. The pathing is 10 out of 10. Not sure if I'll be able to catch him. I might need to come back and quickly. Sun is knighted, yeah. There he comes to wreck my day. No, not through. God damn it. Your pathing is phenomenal. Good God. Alright, we got more territories. Distribute to my last son. Good. Let's grant him titles. Should I first make the kingdom? I'm slightly confused. Okay, so this would belong to my liege. To my vassal. Okay. So we'd have only these 3 duchies. And they all belong to my vassals. It doesn't matter. I'll give my son, even though there will be conflict, because they will all have claims, de jure claims for these 3 counties. So they might get, he might get slapped around a bit. But you know, he's like half wolf. I'm sure he'll be able to survive. He also made kids, look at that. Grand titles, 1, 2. You got this, son, I believe. Smith. 2 above. Which are the 2? Oh, this one. No. Confused. Titles. What even is this? Okay, grand title, you have room for 1 more. Okay. There's 1 left though, I'm not sure where it is. 11 titles. The Arcs Fall. Okay. This is the only one I can usurp. And now I find it. Fine, I'll make my son a duke there. Poor son. You got this. Inspired person can be sponsored. It's an event. A blood of pool is congealing under the feet of Brion, who is a wanderer and has nothing interesting to show. He is brutally mauled. Diplomat sent by my ally Lady Leona. By the immense quantity of soaked up by my fine carpet, I can only assume he has been bleeding on the spot for hours, if not longer. My apologies for this mess. I was defenestrated by a dwarf. What is defenestrated? Defenestrated meaning. Throw or push someone out of a window. Really? I've never heard of this. And I should have heard it by now. knowing I know a lot about what Putin has been doing to his people. Okay, by a dwarf. How did a dwarf manage to do that to you? Trying to rob me in an inn on my journey to Dragonstone. However, as the rapscallion cushioned my fall, the diplomatic visit can continue. It will still be days until my blood loss is fatal. Physician. I could get some gold. Your liege is paying for my carpet. Yeah. Old court, inspired person can be sponsored. Master, he wants to forge a hammer. Sure. Go right for it. Court. A guardian for my child. My genius steward child. Good. The teacher. I have noticed your interest in the art of subterfuge, my lady. I might be able to help you to learn even more. My son-in-law, Donor, smiles resolutely as he joins me in the gardens. He is as renowned as anyone with this set of skills I can get. I would like to deepen my knowledge of intrigue. Lead the way. I mean, I'm incapable. I am dying. Can't I just go gently into the night? Two more prisoners. Off you go. Oh, they reformed the kingdom of Riverlands. That's rare. Good for them. Pum pum pum. I should be able to declare war on Lys in the future. I should also get the stepstones. And declare wars. Let's see. Disrupt piracy. The pirate realm is destroyed and piracy in the region will be disrupted. Another event, a phase from long ago. I settle into my bed as snug and comfortable as a babe betwixt its mother's breasts. But right as my heavy eyes at last close for some rest, I shoot up in my bed as I see a figure sit down beside me. To my horror, it is none other than my deceased friend, Lady Kella of Rockall. She callously cackles at me as I shriek in horror. Is this like the ghost of my past? Of Christmas past? Come now, Anara. Is that any way to greet an old friend? I come to you with a warning. You are the reason Lord Donnell of the Sisters is now in the Seven Heavens. You must repent for what you've done. I learned that the hard way that every sin we commit incurs a debt. The seven who are one, my friend, and he is not forgiven to his debtors. I repent whatever it takes. Or let's repent. Come on, just die. I could attempt suicide, but why would I do that? That tournament is far, far away. Let's see if she can fly. As infirm. Yeah, nothing keeps her from riding a dragon. To a tournament, of all places. A new dragon enters the world, my grandson. As a new dragon called Valyrian. Good. After a few generations, it's gonna be pure chaos. All these kids with dragons. But I'm not sure if I'll have many reasons to continue playing. After this is done. Why do we have recreation instead of triumph? Wait, the race. Ah, it's because I can't ride. Somebody else will do the riding. Let's go with Slansor. Let's have that race. Wallace's rider is steering their way along the rack. At the last moment, they sloppily careen to the side, skating through the dirt, giving the riders Rela and Sarella horses no time to stop. The crowd unanimous groans fill the air even before the three horses and riders collide. Okay. Grab the reins. Fight. And you lost. I imagine her like Jabba the Hutt, infirm on a big sofa, complaining while watching the races. Say the pod races. Yeah, so for example, the board game does not offer me the option to increase in score. I don't think I can qualify. Even though, even as an infirm, she should be able to play board games. Come on. Yeah, I know, I am. Artisans' quarters. Nothing interesting. Higher quality. I do have some from my dynasty who are participating. And he made a Baelish Warhammer. Lovely. Ceremony. Congratulations everyone, what a great occasion. Woohoo. A humble tyrant. Frustrating news from Shallfire's feeders today. He has begun to refuse to eat so long as anyone else is in the room with him. Apparently if anyone is present, he will simply stare at them. This remained until one of his feeders decided to eat his own lunch at the same time. As it turns out, Clawfire was waiting for the feeder to eat first. He's a polite dragon. He's a gentleman. Supporting, I can make it imperious or grant him even more food. Make him even more supporting. What does he want? He doesn't want to get betrothed. Shut up and marry her. How old is she? 15. Stop complaining. Be a man. Designate a guardian for my grandson who is interested in martial. Okay. He's wrathful and gluttonous. Mm-hmm. My grandson wants to get married. Off you go. Okay, should I try to suicide? Health poor, because she keeps on wanting to live forever. Sure. Pentos de jure war for the high lordship of Pentos. Wait, let me see here. So you, oh, okay, you want to get this one? Yeah, sure. And you have a great idea. Sure. Where shall I put this? What's closer to Pentos? This or this? They're both as far away. You can just put him on an island, if that's the case. There's a few dragons outliving a child. Which one died? My daughter. This one's the bastard. Fine. Nobody likes bastards. We have learned from Game of Thrones that nobody likes bastards. And we have also learned from House of the Dragon that nobody likes women for some reason. So, bastard women, can imagine how bad it is, based on how well they wrote their script. The idiots. Okay, which are the territories? Only this? Fine. Or is it this? I'm confused. Oh, okay. So I'm not on the right section. There we go. Victory! Congratulations, my son. Can I make you into my vassal? It's distant from mine. How is it distant? This is the Vale. This guy is at war. People keep on dying, yet she remains. I could make some funerals now that I think of it. Funeral, 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 plan funeral. No flight. Deceased. Quite the list. Do I want to befriend somebody? Everybody loves me. I propose a marriage between my daughter Yara and your grandson. No. Betrothed can marry. Wait, what are we doing here? My son and vassal is gonna marry her because I got you married with this one, maybe. Fine. Conrad. I will take the marriage I arranged. Okay, Shattered Dream. Conrad returns to my chambers and I can immediately tell our argument over betrothal is set to continue. I move to soothe him, but I am cut short. If he refuses to take my opinion into account on a future spouse, then I will refuse to take into account yours as well. My grandson says brashly, I will not be marrying her or anyone else. Gaines refusing marriage, may not marry. Or I can banish him. So stubborn. Okay. He has managed to tame a dragon. And he's now riding it. Do you have eggs? No, you don't. New perk for intrigue. Dragon's first flames. Good. My daughter has managed to convince the dragon. Low flames. Oh, I have an idea. And this will be the perfect time for it. Let's see if this works. I'm very curious if it's a good idea or bad. I am going to turn on a podcast in the background, which is related to parenthood in A Song of Ice and Fire. So it's related to parenthood in the book series and how each character had his performed parenting and how well he did it, from Jaime all the way to probably, I don't know, Eddard Stark. Let's remove the music and have a listen, because I think this will be very interesting.
Welcome. Here we are going to be talking about A Song of Ice and Fire today. Of course, that's all I've been really talking about on my channel recently. And I am joined today by Jimmy from the Fantasy Network. Hello, Jimmy. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me. I've been waiting a long time to talk about some Song of Ice and Fire. Obviously, you've been on my channel, and we've talked about it during Chatting with Nuts, which is like my bi-weekly show that I do. But we haven't just got to sit down, talk with like no spoiler warnings or anything, and just kind of do our thing. So, I mean,
well, let's do a spoiler warning, which is that we're going to spoil all the books.
All of it. All of it, all the way through, which is the most fun part of this series, is once you're all caught up and that getting to talk about it all. So I'm glad to be here, and I always love talking about my favorite series.
Thank you for coming. A couple things. One is that, Jimmy, you were one of the only 3 people who knew that I read the book before I told the world. So you were one of those 3 people.
That makes me very happy.
And I've told this story before, but I messaged you being like, I don't want to blindside you, but I'm reviewing a Game of Thrones. And I read it, and that's all I said, not realizing that how that sounds in a message. And you were like, I'm sorry you hated it. I was like, no.
So this is the Bookborn channel. Maybe in the future I can also add a video on the side of the stream. She recently, well, a few months ago, finished reading A Song of Ice and Fire, all 5 books. She has never read them, and she has some very interesting opinions about them. All in all, she really likes Catelyn for some reason. Maybe it's because mother to mother, they might see things that I would not be able to. But I found Catelyn as a disgusting character. Mean and selfish, actually. I mean, she only cared about her family. She had kids. Yeah, I don't know. That's just my opinion. But it's interesting to see other people's perspectives and how they analyze the books.
I thought you were giving me a warning for my mental health, because, you know.
And I have no idea who he is.
I would have been distraught had you done a 30-minute breakdown of why Game of Thrones is actually, you know, trash. But it turns out that you actually loved it, which was a wonderful surprise.
Yeah, it was great. But another message you sent me is I had talked to you. I don't remember where I talked to you about this. Maybe about Catelyn, or I said something about motherhood, and you were like, "Well, no one talks about fatherhood in A Song of Ice and Fire." And I said, "Well, I want to." So today I've invited you on specifically to talk about parenthood in A Song of Ice and Fire. And I want to start with fatherhood. So when you say that not enough people talk about it, give me your thesis, your thing. Like what is it about fathers that interests you in A Song of Ice and Fire?
I think for how it shapes the children in the series, because like one of the unique things about A Song of Ice and Fire, I think for a lot of epic fantasy, we end up with like usually a decently like mixed age group of people, but it's really expansive in the scope of like the characters that exist, and we actually get to see the direct correlation between like nature versus nurture, I think. And the one father I constantly think about this with that no one seems to ever talk about when they talk about this character, who is maybe the most popular, is Jaime Lannister. Jaime Lannister is a father, and no one ever talks about if he's a good or a bad dad, and no one ever really considers that whenever they talk about his redemption arc.
That's so funny, because he was like one of the first I put on my list when I said who are we going to talk about. I was like Jaime.
Yes, I feel like I never really see, and obviously someone's going to comment like I've been talking about it for 13 years. There's so many people talking about it. It's hard to know what everyone has said, but for where I've been in the fandom and talking about these books, it just seems like Jaime's redemption arc really revolves around, you know, the Cersei obsession, pushing Bran out of a window. Has he redeemed himself from that with his relationship with Brienne and him going through the Riverlands and all this stuff? But I've always wondered, you know, Jaime doesn't think much about his children, and he doesn't seem like he has much love lost for Joffrey at times. So like it just makes me wonder, does that go into like Jaime Lannister's character, like, or does that kind of get excused because of the conditions of the fatherhood?
You know, it's funny because as I was thinking about Jaime, a lot of Jaime's distance from his children is because of Cersei. Like you have this scene where he's reflecting on like,
have you noticed then when people say it's funny because it never is funny? There is nothing funny about it. Not even showing any slight of humor.
like her saying, "You can't do that. You can't be here. What would people think? People would know." And so I feel like his parenthood is also very tied in to the mother of his children because of, you know, the incest, I guess, of it all, but like also how she has controlled both him and his relationship to his children. So yeah, how much do you excuse there? And Jaime ends up being kind of like a sperm donor dad, right? Like that's that's kind of like what he is ultimately.
It's almost strange to me because I think he loves Cersei. Like I think he is literally in love with Cersei, and that is those acts of passions that result in those kids was from him having love for Cersei. But I don't feel as if he's like proud of the display of their love in a way. Like those are just that's a consequence of this thing, but it's really just about Cersei. He doesn't actually care about what they've made together, which to me, I don't know, it's just kind of fascinating to think about and why he would do that. And then you're right, Cersei does got to tell Jaime a lot of times what he can and cannot do. And he has another force in his life, which is his father, who is constantly telling him what he should and should not be doing. Obviously not pleased with him being part of the King's Guard. He wants him to be the heir of Casterly Rock, and these vows are getting in the way. And everything else. And I think also Tywin probably wants to get him a little bit further away from Cersei to get into a good marriage. I think that's, you know, I think Tywin's aware. So how much of Tywin is in Jaime when it comes to being a father? Because Jaime, for all intents and purposes, is completely absent, kind of forced, because you can't admit that, you know, Joffrey, who's sitting on the throne, is yours, therefore not Baratheon, yada, yada, yada. But there's just a lot to him as a father figure that kind of gets left out, I think, when we talk about his like redemption arc and his character arc overall.
Yeah, and I don't know to what degree you agree with this. I feel like Jaime has been abused by Cersei. Like I, in my opinion, view that relationship as she was in control, and I think that he was emotionally abused and manipulated by Cersei. And I think in Feast particularly, I start to see him come out and recognize like what control she has had over his life. Now that's complicated. It doesn't mean that there wasn't love there. Yeah. But at some point, I think the relationship was abusive, like in my opinion. And so what does that also mean for his role in his children's life? I don't know. Like, and you bring up Tywin, like Tywin also treats Jaime horribly. And that was actually one of the biggest surprises to me. They kind of run together. But you don't get as much of Tywin's relationship to Jaime until I think book 3. You mostly see Tywin with Tyrion, who you already know he hates. But like in my head, because of the way Tyrion talks about Tywin and Jaime, you think Tywin loves Jaime. And then you see from Jaime's perspective his relationship with his father, and you're like, oh, that's not what I expected. So is that an influence of why Jaime is like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, how involved his father tried to be in his life could be him doing the exact opposite, as we tend to do as children. We try to go opposite of whatever our parents are or want. Sometimes we end up coming back and we're just like them. It does happen that way. To your point about the abusive relationship, I do agree with you for the most part. It's way complicated and very messy, so I'm not completely vilifying Cersei, but I think that it's obvious that that's a big part of Jaime's arc, especially going into Feast for Crows. When he's going through the Riverlands, has some of that distance, is kind of calling his own shots and coming into his own as a leader. Is it possible that Jaime resents his kids even possibly because, like, maybe deep down he actually knows that he was manipulated? Do you think that could be the case?
Does Jaime think about his kids?
In the books, very sparingly. Very sparingly. Little. It's almost like George was like, yeah, he's a dad, but like, who cares? Like, it's fine.
Yeah,
So he doesn't act like a dad, right? Like he does not proceed in any fashion, even like from the shadows, right? Like giving them nudges in the right direction or anything. None of that. And Robert is supposedly the father figure of these kids, and he is also kind of terrible and not a very good dad. And it just reminds me a lot of Jon Snow and Ned Stark, right? Because Ned Stark is not really Jon's father, but he treats him like a son and actually does help him, and I think is a good dad to him personally. Whereas Catelyn has to pose as a mother and is not a very good mother to Jon, even though she's a really good mother to her boys for the most part. So there's like a lot in the Song of Ice and Fire about who is really your parent, like by blood, and then who is in the role of being your parent figure, which I think is really relatable in life, because there's been many times where someone has stepped in and played an important role for me that maybe isn't even blood, but I look at that and I'm like, man, that was really formative for me as someone, like, yeah, I want to say like a father figure, but like maybe a little bit less than that. But it's not always as simple as like, you came from me, therefore I am your father. It's just not that simple.
No, and I want to get back to that point. I want to say one more thing about Jaime, which it is interesting, like you said, because Jaime could have played like an involved uncle role in his children's lives. Like that wouldn't have been hard to be like, oh, I'm the uncle who you look up to. And he really doesn't even play that role very often at all, which is interesting. Like it's just interesting.
So, and I would say if we hadn't had Jaime's POV, which we end up getting in book 3, and it completely throws a wrench in who we think Jaime Lannister is. It's one of the most beautiful parts about A Song of Ice and Fire.
Known Jaime hater, now he's my favorite character. Truly an arc for me.
What a use of perspective by George R. R. Martin. I mean, you kind of... Jaime Lannister's POV made me feel weird about Ned Stark. I'm like, Ned, you were kind of being a jerk back in book 1. This guy basically got revenge for the people who killed your family, whatever. Anyways, so with Jaime, do you think there's a possibility that he never allowed himself to get close to his kids because he knew it would be a threat not only to him and Cersei, but also to his spawn? Because remember, the whole thing about Game of Thrones is the seed is strong. We have figured out. out that Jaime Lannister is the father of these, supposed heirs to the Iron Throne. So maybe it was out of necessity that Jaime remained distanced from them, and maybe out of necessity to keep him and Cersei close together. Like that's just part of the bargain.
Or maybe he actually just, like you said, didn't care about. He cared about Cersei and no one else. Like I don't know. I would love for that to be explored more, and I think it's possible we will see some of it explored more, just because of Jaime's story and where it's going. Like now that he has separated himself a bit from Cersei, like I would say the natural progression then would potentially be for him to be thinking about what that relationship meant.
Yeah.
In these 2 alive children that he has, especially with Tommen on the throne and stuff. I don't know.
And he has a daughter down in Dorne that is going through a lot of traumatic experiences. And I mean, we might see brother and sister pitted against each other in the next book. That could be a thing. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. So, Jaime, and Jaime's interesting to me. You touched on earlier, and also like contrasted to Robert, because
Next books. Come on, let's be serious. There won't be any books. If George wanted to release new books, he would have done so already. Long time ago.
we also have this scene. Well, there's a lot to be said about Robert, but we have this scene where Robert's like, "Oh, I know. I see. I was thinking about."
He's right in the room with me.
I don't think he's going to be happy about what I have to say.
He has earmuffs on. It's fine.
Okay, perfect. He admits, like, I don't even like Joffrey. Like, he says that to Ned, right? Like, what? Doesn't he say that? Like, I'm not making that up. He's like...
He's not dad of the year. I mean, if that's what you're trying to say. He's not exactly good at being a dad or a king.
Well, but what I think is interesting, you bring up Ned and Robert, because I think George could be making a statement there, like, it's not actually Robert's kid, and that's why he doesn't feel any kinship. But then it's like, you have Ned, who knows that Jon isn't his child, but treats Jon as if he was his child. And
Yeah.
And Jon, especially, like, it's so interesting. I was thinking a lot about this as I read Dance. Like, Jon thinks so much about Ned, like, constantly. It's always like, what would Dad do? Like, what?
Death of a Dragon Rider. Let's see here. Seaports and traders' stalls alike drum with sadness and concern. Lord Onfred of Runestone danced themselves to death from dancing plague. His dragon, the light yellow beast Lengar, is now without guidance of his rider. The loss pains me deeply, a bright flame snuffed out. Why does it pain you? Continues to reside with Onfred's family as they mourn. It is unclear what will come for him. Wait a second, do they have a dragon pit? I don't think they have a dragon pit. What is this? Trapping a wild dragon. So he is wild. I can lead the effort myself. Should I do it? Worst case scenario, I die, right? So, win-win. Let's do it. Good. I'm not even mad. Let's see. Lady Anara of the Vale soul has finally been cast to the Seven Hells at the age of 72. She was eaten by dragon Lengar, a shameless adulterer. She will be remembered for her treachery and her covetousness. But come on, she only had one flaw. Really? She was basically a saint other than, meeting men. Lady Elaine ascends the throne, blessed with an abundance of friends. Elaine is likely to find strong support for her rule. Okay. Alrighty then. Diplomacy, lifestyle. Oh. Good. Let's increase fertility even more.
Always.
Yeah.
Even though he's not Ned's son.
Yes, the shadow that Ned cast over his children is large. Arya thinks about him at times. Bran thinks about him at times. Obviously, Catelyn's POV is full of Ned. It's so depressing to read, to be honest. But this is why George R. R. Martin writes really good characters, though, is because there's a lot of series that I read, and I can sit there and I can kind of put my finger on maybe motherhood or fatherhood. I can say every character kind of reflects these qualities, but being in the exact same position of having to kind of be a father to someone that might actually be your child, the two characters of like Robert and Ned are completely different, and there is almost no congruency between them, and that makes them very distinct individual characters. And I love the fact that these are two guys that were best friends. These are two guys that, for all intents and purposes, are two sides of the same coin. One is very aggressive, one is more passive, more thoughtful and stoic. Robert is such a weird character because I love Robert Baratheon. I think he's a ridiculously cool character. Like, just in general, I think he's funny.
He's cool, but he's not a good person.
He's not a good person. That's my point. The whole thing that sets up this series is him killing Prince Charming. I mean, you see Rhaegar get slain on the Trident, or hear about it at least, and that's the end of Robert's rebellion, and now we're in this current period, and that is George subverting Prince Charming.
That has nothing to do with parenthood, but I just need to say, because I really noticed it on my reread. Also, like, for the love of a woman he didn't have, like, he sure.
Exactly.
Wow, that made the reread crazy. Can I just say that? Like, because I had no context for any of that information the first time I was reading. I was like, oh, him and Lyanna were in love. Like, I was very face value.
And Robert said they were.
Yeah. Robert said they were. So then I get to the end, and all of a sudden I'm putting the pieces together. It did take me to dance to put the pieces together. Forgive me. It took that long, and then I'm putting the pieces together. And then I'm going back and reading, going, interesting.
Again, very good use of perspective, right? Is the fact that we didn't have all that context, but in Robert's mind, he was the knight in shining armor and Prince Charming, when in reality he actually killed Prince Charming. So when you think about someone like that stepping into the role of fatherhood, what kind of father would someone like that make? I don't think the answer would be a great one. There's certainly a possibility, but you see Robert kind of continuing this bout of almost like grief and past my glory days, and I don't think he ever really wanted the throne. I think he really wanted Lyanna to love him. I think that's ultimately what he wanted, and now he has supposedly had children with this queen that is not Lyanna, that he called Lyanna in their marriage bed, in the night of their wedding, which was horrible for Cersei. So is it all that shocking that Robert Baratheon is honestly a bottom tier dad? Probably not, right?
No, and he it's almost like he's the kind of person who would want his children to be just like him, or he doesn't have any need to relate to them. Like, he's not going to try to relate to somebody that he doesn't understand. And
they kind of don't agree with everything they say. I mean, Baratheon was a great character, Robert. So that part is correct. He was, what would you call it, infatuated with Lyanna and had no idea about her thoughts or her ones. Such a sad story. It basically Game of Thrones starts after one of the worst tragedies. But of course, 16 years after that tragedy, or however old Jon is. And you slowly find out about it, and it's pretty, I wouldn't necessarily say painful, but it's melancholic.
And I think that theme is also interesting because, something I love that Catelyn constantly says to Ned is, you knew Robert the boy, you don't know Robert the king. And I do think there is this difference, like, before Robert was a king, and after the choice that he made to get that throne about Lyanna and that whole complicated thing, like, that did change him as a person. And probably affected how he was going to treat children. It affected everything, right? How he was going to run a kingdom, how he was going to treat children, because he did it because of Lyanna, who we know probably just didn't even care. But, like, no amount of war and being the king is bringing her back. So
He's just sitting with that reality on an iron throne by himself and heaps of debt. And the one person that he looked to for guidance obviously was Ned, but there was someone else, John Arryn. John Arryn is considered one of, Bobby B's father figures in many ways. And John Arryn kind of looked over Ned, and especially Robert.
Can we go back? Bobby B?
Yeah.
Is that our familiar?
I call him Bobby B. That's how that's how I refer to King Robert. I should call him, King, but I call him Bobby B. So Bobby B lost John Arryn. This show, this book, John Arryn is dead. So Robert Baratheon has lost kind of a father figure as well, and his guiding light, and I think probably was holding things together for Robert. I think Robert Arryn was doing a lot, and things start to spiral pretty out of control once he's found dead. So Robert Baratheon, not the best dad in the world for sure.
No, we've talked about some not the best dads, Jamie and Robert. Let's talk about Tywin when we're considering not the best dads. Actually, Tywin and Ned are such interesting comparisons for me because in both of their children, not both their children's, well, in all their children's mind, they loom so large. They are the two father figures that, like, in any perspective of any of their children, they are present, like, very frequently in very different ways. And I think that's really fascinating. I am wearing my House Stark shirt, so I think we know what side in general I'm on, just like as broad strokes. But I think it's interesting. The legacy they leave behind, and what that means.
Yes, and also,
you go.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, I said something that I always think makes me sound a little stupid, but Tyrion kills Tywin at the end of book 3. And just so often in fantasy, I'm used to people doing that, and then you get like a chapter of fallout, and then they're over it. And so then I'm reading book 4. Sorry, book 5. I'm reading book 5, and I'm like, oh, Tyrion is like really messed up. And it was like, yeah, that makes sense. Why did I think like it wouldn't? Because I think a lot of times fantasy things just move so quickly. And one of my favorite character choices George made, I mean, he's always like this, right? He makes these deeply relatable. And it's like, Tywin treated Tyrion terribly. It led Tyrion to kill him, but now he has to deal with the fact that he killed his dad. And it's just like so fascinating because it looms so large in that book. And I don't know, I just love that exploration of conflict.
Yeah, the internal conflict, the hearted conflict with itself, which is a Faulkner quote that George says is like the heart of all of his writing. And for Tyrion, the self-loathing is extraordinarily real in book 5, and a lot of people struggle with this, but that's it. Like, you're really counting the cost of murdering your father, but also let's remember all of Tyrion's past. In theory, in his mind, he killed not just his father, but his mother. His mother died birthing him. He is responsible for both of his parents' death, in his mind at least. And that is also how Cersei is definitely going to see it. And then him and Jaime are completely separated. And I think along with the death of his father is any idea or possibility of the fact that he could finally achieve acknowledgement from his father and kind of what he is due, which he really wanted Casterly Rock, obviously. And that is ultimately what Tyrion was after. I think Tyrion wanted someone to love him, and I think he wanted his family and his dad as specific.
So which one should we make the heir? No, I created another tour with cultural acceptance this time because the last time I wasn't paying enough attention. So now that it's focused on cultural acceptance, should improve this section of culture and a bit of here. These were lacking attention, which is good. So I'll be finished with the Vale. The Vale and Valyrians will be very close. Then I can move into these locations slowly and surely. Now regarding my heir, I should make one of them my heir. I don't think I'll make him Sir Joffrey Baelish. He's greedy, arrogant, and compassionate, and gregarious. None of the traits that I find particularly interesting. This one is beautiful and quick and has married an intelligent woman. So this could be a viable option. He also has pork chop. You gotta love pork chop. So we could play as him. So that's the first option. The next one is this guy who is beautiful, trusting, wrathful, gluttonous. His stats are horrible. Does he have a knight? Doesn't have a knight, does he? Educate squire. Cool. I wish that I would have gotten him educated as well, since he isn't a knight. Shame, shame, shame. What about you? Do you have a knight? You have a knight. Good. The hunchback? Not the hunchback of all people. Or my daughter, Lady Valena. She has a dragon. She is comely and genius, and focus on stewardship. Paranoid and arbitrary. God, their traits are so... I'm kinda tired of bad traits. I don't want compassionate, so this guy falls. I'm not even... I think has to be it. Just impatient and diligent. And generous. Ugh, generous. Yeah. Yeah, the redhead. But he's not even a knight. Why didn't you become a knight? Oh, this guy is craven. Why would somebody make you craven? Who was... Oh, your guardian is craven. It's my fault then. My bad. I'm complaining for nothing. Okay, so it's either between the redhead and this guy. The gluttonous, wrathful, trusting. Trusting is... ugh. He's also wounded, his stats are terrible. Nope, the redhead has to be, even if he's not a knight. I will designate an heir. I already have an heir, I know. But I can designate another heir. Change. Why can't I do this? Is it because I'm in my trip? Maybe that's the reason. Let's wait a bit.
To acknowledge him, and he's grieving that that is no longer a possibility. Like, there's a wonderful quote that the opposite of life is not death, but like the opposite of death is choice and possibility. And now that Tywin is dead, there's literally no possibility of any of that. And he's also lost his status in the world because of this. He's no longer really a Lannister. So the things that have propped him up and enabled him to make, you know, some pretty great moves was really because of his name and his privilege from his family. So all that's gone. And he's taken on a lot more than just his dad, but also the way his life can end up and the things that mattered to him. It's very tragic, obviously, and it's no surprise that he turns into quite a villain, I think, in Book 5. But Tywin cast such a large shadow because of his expectations of his children and how disappointed he is in all of his kids. Ned Stark, on the other hand, seems to be endorsing Arya and seeing Lyanna within her, and is I think definitely still trying to push his kids to what he thinks they should be or they need to be honorable or whatever, especially Sansa pushing her maybe towards Joffrey and being a lady. But he definitely kind of loves Arya's rebellious nature. I felt in book.
Should I push for fertility? I'm curious about, even though I'm 46, will I be able to push for another child? I just force fertility as much and as high as possible. Let's try it.
I think
And
Ned
that's
loves
the big
all of his kids for who they are, while also trying to guide them, which is kind of what I think of parents. Hopefully, is what you're doing. You're telling your kids, "I will love you no matter who you are, and also let me help you. Hopefully, be the best person you are. Like, you know, because you're still going to guide your kids."
Yeah.
And I do think I see acceptance from Ned for his children. Well, there's a few things. I really like the scene with Ned and Arya because he does reprimand Arya. Like, you're not a child anymore. Like, stop bickering with your sister. Like, this is serious. But he also, like you said, like, clearly loves Arya a ton. The scene is so great when he finds her with Needle. You know, he gives her dancing practice. Like, I think he just has this really great way of, like, seeing his children. But he also reprimands them. He's not just like, yes, Arya, you can do whatever you want. Like there is, you know, I think that's why like I and many have so much affection for Ned.
Yeah.
Like he's a flawed individual. Like George hasn't written anyone who's not flawed, but he's the person I think we all are trying to be, which is like someone who is trying ostensibly to be good and to do the right thing, and obviously failing because we all do at some point. But he's not like full failure. You're laughing at me.
No, I agree. It's just so sad because like there's so many different moments where like Ned could have just been like 1% less, you know, black and white about everything. Yeah, and he would be alive.
Yeah.
You know, that would be great. I wish he was still alive. He's a good dad. I think it definitely, you know, just off the top of my head, he's the one person I can say that I think is a really good father.
Agreed.
Though I've always wondered, how could he leave Bran after the fall? Like, how could he still do that? He kind of had to, right? Like, I don't think
it was...
Man,
I think that's the one time I really do give historical context precedence because we do spend so much more time with our kids today, even than like 2 generations ago.
Oh yeah.
And I think Ned probably cared more about his kids than people expected in general of that sort of time period, probably.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I've always wondered, like, maybe in Ned's last POVs, like, if he would have thought of Bran a little bit more. I always kind of wish that had happened. But he's clearly staring down the barrel of being executed, so things aren't exactly... I mean, obviously, Lyanna is on his mind, as is Jon. But I've always wondered if maybe we could have just had one more thought towards Bran, like, will Bran walk again? Like, that would have been a nice little consolation. Yeah, but it's fine the way it is. I think that Ned is definitely a good father. I think that his shadow that looms over his children, they feel the pressure to want to be as good as their dad, but not to please him, but because they respect and loved him so much, and everyone did. Whereas, like, you know, the Lannisters are all about the image that they want to portray. And if you think about it, okay, Tywin is not asking like some of the most ridiculous things of his children. Tyrion will leave out because he's horrible to Tyrion. But like he's like, Jaime, I would love for you to take over Castle Rock and be my heir and be the next me. And Jaime just happens to not want that at all. And then Cersei, hey, we would love to get you married to the king. We're going to set you up as the queen. And, you know, whenever he dies, well, we'll set you up with another high lord. Like, in this time period, that's a pretty reasonable thing to ask of your children. But Tywin got where he was and became who he was because he was stern and stubborn and in his ways. And he went and took what he wanted. His kids have that trait about them as well. And they just happen to not want anything that he wants. So, like, the faults that he sees in them are the faults he has in himself, which is really wrapped up beautifully towards his end once we see Shay in his bed after he has chastised Tyrion about whores. Well, it turns out Tywin also might have that same issue.
Well, and Tywin's thing is that he's always ruled through fear and not love, which I think is also a super interesting foil. Even as the series goes on, you know, when you see the North remembers and people who are rallying still around the Stark name, despite the fact that we are down most Starks. At the end of book 5, Ned is dead, Robb is dead, Catelyn is dead, Sansa and Arya are functionally dead. And actually even Bran and Rickon, because people think Theon killed them. So we've got Jon, who technically is on the wall. Like, we are down all Starks, and people are still rallying around that in a way that they do not rally around the Lannister name. And I think that's a fascinating look at like fear versus love. It's more complicated than that, but if we're only speaking about the fatherhood nature, I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, in some ways, I've always felt this, is that like Ned felt, I mean, obviously Warden of the North, you know, he's the regent up there, everything, all this stuff, right? Or the Lord Paramount, rather. Ned feels like the dad of the North. Like when Ned died, like there was no question that the North was gonna come. Like everyone was gonna come together. We're gonna get literally every single house, and we will descend upon King. Like without a doubt. I feel like if Tywin Lannister, or when Tywin Lannister dies, it's really just chaos. Like Jaime has to go into the Riverlands and like try to iron things out after the Civil War and be like, okay, like everything's good, I'm in charge. Like now you're gonna listen to me. You didn't get that same sense of when Tywin died at all. But that's also a bit of a difference between the culture of the North and the South, as well as just the Starks being a foreverly old house, like all the way back from Aegon the Conquering time. So I think that probably has something to do with it. But Ned,
it's definitely more complicated.
Yeah, definitely. Ned's dad also died in a horrible fashion, and I imagine that made a lot of people in the North very sympathetic towards Ned. And Ned was not supposed to be the guy taking over Winterfell, right? It was supposed to be his brother that was also killed. So Ned stepping up into this and doing such a great job probably earned him a lot of respect as well as empathy, I would imagine.
Yeah, and you also have that, one of my actually favorite scenes, I think, of the entire series is when Jaime is talking to his aunt, and she is like, Jaime, you're not Tywin's son, that's Tyrion. And it's literally, I've read it like 6 times. It's such a good scene. And it's also such a good reflection on Tywin, just like, he wanted things the way he wanted it. He couldn't see his children like for who they were, because imagine a world where Tywin isn't blaming Tyrion, Tywin maybe isn't as image obsessed, because obviously Tyrion doesn't look the way he wants Lannisters to look, and recognizes kind of Tyrion's skills, which is very Tywin. You know, he's one of the smartest people in the series. He's a very clever character. Now he has to put on a front because how he's been treated his whole life. But, you know, if you think if that had been nurtured differently, you know, you think of Ned with a kid like Tyrion. Like, that's an interesting thought. Think of Tywin with a...
Why would we even think about Ned with a son like Tyrion? Even if that would be the case, he will end up like Jon, because... Catelyn. Oh, she means like they would both be his parents. Then maybe, yeah, he'll have a normal family. But Jon did not have a normal family because of Catelyn. Or Caitlyn. Oh, I'm not so sure about that. I think it's like a poison there. That's how I see her. How can somebody be so selfish regarding a child? And mean and cruel overall. It's not even his fault. Even if she thought Eddard cheated on her, still makes no sense.
The kid like Bran. It's exactly.
No. Oh God.
it's interesting. Your different reaction to that immediately says a lot about what kind of fathers they are, I think.
Yeah, that's a great point though. Thinking about Bran under Tywin makes my soul hurt. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh no. And under, with Bran, we don't get to see with his dad a lot, but there is no doubt in my mind that, Ned would have proudly had Bran next to him anywhere he went. Whereas I think Tywin is just disgusted that Tyrion is parading around in Lannister garb. Like, I think it just drives him mad. This also goes for Cersei though, because Cersei is someone who I think lives in a man's world and has tendencies of being a little bit more masculine and wanting to be in positions that are pretty much designated just for men in the Seven Kingdoms. And Tywin doesn't try to use that to any advantage at all. He's like, no, you will just be a trophy wife to King, the drunken King Bobby B, and that's all you're good for. Instead of maybe trying to possibly help her succeed in a way where maybe other women haven't before. And this kind of reminds me a little bit of Arya, right? Like, you could tell Ned wants Arya to be a straight and narrow, but also is kind of like encouraging it a little bit. So like, there was just no bend with Tywin at all.
He had expectations, and it's interesting that you said that. I just made this connection, like, you've got Marjorie Tyrell, which, like, I know we don't know a lot about her, but like, they're up to something. There's something cooking in her brain, in my opinion. There's something cooking. You think of and oh my gosh, her grandma.
Olenna,
thank you. Olenna.
I love her.
I know we're gonna talk about her. That's why I can't believe her name just went out of my head. But Olenna, like, she is using the stuff she has to help House Tyrell. And you think if like you said, if Tywin had been able to use Cersei a little more, like, and respected her individual what's the word, drive, like, to do what she wanted to do, like, it might be different. Now, is that a commentary on the fact that they didn't have a mother figure? I don't know. Is it a commentary on, I think, Tywin, who has clearly very specific feelings about exactly how things need to be, and the second they're out of line, he's not interested? Also probably yes.
Wow. Yeah, and if you really think about it, man, that's a really great point that I'm so stupid that I didn't even consider, is the fact that these three kids grew up without a mom, essentially. And if you think about it, they all are impacted by that. Like, Jaime and Tyrion clearly have mommy issues, because, like, Tyrion just wants to be in love. I think it also comes from, obviously, his stature, being who he is. But with Jaime, this weird fascination with Cersei could also be stemming from that, possibly. Whereas Cersei lacks that, I wouldn't say lacks, because I actually do think she tries to be a really good mom for the most part. I think she likes being a mom. But she definitely has a little bit of more of like that masculine drive, and that's probably from being raised just solely by her dad and trying to impress that single parent. Whereas I think that there's probably a lot missing from Tyrion and Jaime in the regards of like motherly love.
Yeah, and now that you say that, I love to hear this, because this actually, I've been surprised at the different opinions I've heard. Does Cersei love her children?
I do. Actually, I mean, here's the thing. I would need to read.
She only loves them because they are, like, she loves herself.
See, I don't think Cersei's all evil, though. I think she does horrible things. She uses people. She could possibly even be a narcissist, all these things. But, like, she is also just constantly been told to get into file and be a woman, where, like, she wanted more. So, like, a lot of this is like the system of Westeros and in the society that they're in, and her father. But I don't know, I've never got the feeling that it was just because they were her, part of her. I mean, maybe
I'm in agreement with you.
Yeah, I don't know if she's a good mom, but she's not the worst mom.
She fights for her kids. And one of my favorite scenes, actually, I said that a lot. Look, I have a lot of scenes I like, okay, Jimmy, and I'm going to tell them all my favorites.
I do the same thing.
I marked it. It's when Cersei talks to Sansa in book 1, and she's like, I know who Joffrey is. Like, you don't need to pretend that, like, he's down. Like, it was just such, like, a realistic mom moment, being like, because I don't doubt that Cersei loves Joffrey, and I don't doubt that she goes to bat for him. But I think sometimes she's also like, he's kind of annoying. Like, I think she basically says that, and it's so real that I just love that moment. But I also think Cersei loves her kids, and I said this in my female character video when I talked about Martin's female characters, but one of the fascinating things about Cersei to me, and one of my favorite things George has done, is Cersei's complaints about sexism are all valid, but she's also sort of the worst, and she does stuff, and it's not always true. So, like, Cersei has faced sexism, and some stuff she thinks is sexism isn't. Does that make sense? And it's like such an excellent part of her character, because it's like, it's not always cut and dry. Like, I've read too much stuff recently where the good character faces sexism and we all know it's sexism and la-di-da-di-da, what a nice little bow. But instead you're like, well, Cersei, people don't like you because you suck. But also, yeah, like, but also, yes, Tywin did treat you differently than Jaime. And yes, he did expect you to go off and get married and not care at all about your feelings on the matter. And yeah, that...
This is interesting. So, Gianna managed to claim Draco, my little niece. Good for her. Should I find her somebody? Yes, I should. I didn't even finish the sentence. Ah, somebody beautiful would be great for her. Oh, and fecund. Oh, yes. Oh, it's even better. Beautiful and quick. To ensure they will keep the... Oh, but he's 46. He's beautiful. Might be able to do it. Or fecund. No, I think quick is a better option. Will be a gère dynasty. No, we're gonna matrilinear marriage. Good. Send proposal. Joffrey takes to the skies. My heir. Oh. I also want to mark her. Mark her. Keep an eye out and see exactly what children have. Okay. Tychos. Throw him in jail. Let's ransom him for a hook. Kill the fuck up.
was sexism. So anyway, it's one of my favorite details.
Yeah, well, also, like, there's two facets to the issues, I think, in Westeros. I mean, there's a lot, but, like, the two I always think of is, like, Cersei definitely faces sexism, but Cersei definitely endorses classism. She hates the common folk. And she is so blind to not see that, and she's so terrible to so many people because of that and who she is. You know, that's part of that Tywin thing. She carries that Lannister pride with her. You know, hear me roar. That is part of who she is. So yes, there are times where you're like, yeah, she really did face some sexism there. And sometimes you're like, no, you're being a classist jerk, and that's why people are treating you this way. Or you did something very stupid to put yourself in this position, especially Feast for Crows when she's just a hot mess the whole book. It's really her just burying herself 10 feet deep. And a big thing I have a problem with Cersei, and this is a problem with a lot of the Targaryens as well back in the history, is that there's themes of like misogyny or sexism or whatever all throughout and patriarchy all throughout Westeros history, The problem is that whenever someone gets the opportunity to possibly like change that system or topple it, they instead just want to have that power for themselves and then continue to perpetuate the issue of the system. And that's exactly what Cersei wants to do. She's like, oh, I don't want to get rid of the throne. I want to be queen. What are you talking about? Like, no, I get rid of regency. Absolutely not. I want to sit on I want this power so she can abuse it. And that is a problem. That is an issue. And I think that is a very key component of this series that George is like hinting at throughout the whole thing. Like, hey, maybe, possibly, I don't know, maybe having a king or queen is not a great idea. But Cersei doesn't care at all about that. She just wants to have a piece of the pie.
Yeah. It's really great. And it extends, I think, because we've talked a lot about fatherhood, why I am so drawn to the motherhood betrayals in A Song of Ice and Fire. And I've been working for, like, I don't know, 2 months on a Catelyn defense video.
Oh boy.
It's all in my head. I haven't written it down. I've written some of it down, but it's complicated. I just don't have time right now to do it justice. But
You're getting some boxing gloves for that.
Oh, I don't care if people hate it. I don't. I'm gonna say my piece and then I'm gonna like not read the comments.
Vanish.
I put it out there. But I will share one thing that I've been thinking a lot about in that video, which is our portrayals of motherhood in media usually fall pretty cleanly into like diametric spots. When we're growing up in Disney movies, you have the evil stepmother or the selfless, loving, perfect mother. And we see that in a lot of children's media. You are Mother Gothel or you're Molly Weasley. You are, you're in these diametrics. And as we move into adult fantasy, what I often see in motherhood is you are either, again, the perfect stay-home mother out of the politics because you are mothering, or all of your children have died, so now you are allowed to be a part of the thing and go have your adventure. There is this liminal space of reality, which is that people become mothers and still retain their personality and ambitions and goals and who they are. And it's something that I noticed George has just like all over the books, but particularly with Catelyn. People are very angry when Catelyn leaves to go help Ned. And it's like, to me, I didn't even register that because it made all the sense in the world to me as I'm reading this, why Catelyn would act that way. I'm not saying it was necessarily the best choice. I don't think Catelyn actually makes the best choices, but every choice she makes, I understand, because it's like a living, breathing person who is still interested in the politics of the house, is still interested in what's happening, and still cares about her kids. I mean, John, that's a whole nother conversation we can have in a second, but it's the same with Cersei. It's the same with Olenna. It's the same with a lot of mothers in A Song of Ice and Fire, which is that they retain the people they are beyond their motherhood. And I think sometimes why we might struggle with those characters is because they do not fit into the boxes that media has often portrayed mothers in.
I love that so very much. And I will touch on this evil stepmother thing in just a second. But I also think that Catelyn doesn't always make the best decisions. That's for sure. In fact, I think she's one of the best nuanced characters that George has ever written. Also, just a super important POV, by the way. Like, Robb Stark exists because she's a POV, which is just crazy to think about. And the way that he wrote this war camp from a mother's perspective is insanely cool.
Oh, it's such a good, the scene where she's like waiting. It's just, I marked it. I have it marked. It's so good. It's so good. I was like looking for it. It's over there. It's marked. Yes, I just want to say, when Catelyn's in my top 5, people always think when you say that, it's like an endorsement of all of her actions.
Well, that's because the internet kind of boils it down to hate or love, and that doesn't really work for this series all that well, because Catelyn has a lot of good and a lot of bad, and that is why she's such a cool character, is because you talked about 2 different archetypes, and she's both. She is the evil.
Yeah, I don't know how much good Catelyn ever had, especially in the book series. The only good thing was she cared about her kids. And that's pretty much it. And he was affectionate towards her husband. I'm not even sure if she loved Eddard. Maybe she did. Either way, she's not an impressive character at all.
Stepmother, and also a wonderful mother in many aspects to her own children. She is a blending of the two and is very, very complex and hard to think about whenever you decide how you feel about her, because, I think about this a lot. I've had, relatives pass away, and you go to that funeral, and there's a person in that casket. We're celebrating their life, and there is someone in that room who has had a very negative experience with that person, and a person who's had a very positive experience with that person, and they can be feeling two very different things at that moment, and who they are is completely reliant on whose eyes we're looking through and what their experiences were. And I think Catelyn embodies that. Like, when Catelyn dies, it's just like, how does Jon Snow feel about this news, to how does Bran feel about this news? And because of those two characters we really care about, it makes Catelyn even more important to the story, even after she is gone. Catelyn does not make all the best decisions, but the one thing Catelyn does have in a lot of aspects is foresight. And she thinks about the foresight beyond what Robb can see, constantly sees the stumbles that he's making. And this is why she goes to find Ned, or to try to help Ned, because she sees beyond this. She knows what happens if Ned ends up dead, or if something bad were to happen to him. Everything could come crumbling down. And even though she loves her kids, they might all be in danger for the next 30 years, possibly, if this goes south. So she has that foresight. And I think that's one of the reasons why she does go after Ned. But she is just the full package when it comes to making a complex character. I mean, she's as good as it gets.
Oh, I think Catelyn being in the first book, it was so instrumental for me just completely being like, okay, like, this is what we're doing here. Like, sign me up. Okay, sure, there's some weird descriptions about Dany's body, but, like, that's fine. Well, like, it's water under the bridge at this point. We've got Catelyn. I immediately, like, after I read the first book, Catelyn was my favorite character. Like, I just immediately glommed onto her. And I think it's because I'm also really starved for that sort of representation. But, just everything you said, I agree with. She has a ton of foresight, and that doesn't mean she makes good decisions. Yeah. But she does help people make good decisions, I do think. And anyway, I'll defend all of her actions eventually. But not because they were right, but from her point of view. But I think we see that a lot even with Cersei. Like, we don't like Cersei in general, like, just in terms of, like, who she is in the story, okay? You know. But then people translate, well, she doesn't love her kids, because you can't be a bad person and love your kids. George is so against all of that line of thinking, right? And that's what I think people struggle with a lot with all of his characters, because it's just so messy.
Yeah, it's hard to feel a definitive feeling one way or another, depending on who the character is. I also will say this: Catelyn doesn't have perfect foresight, and you kind of said this, but like, someone's going to say, "Oh,
all right."
Foresight.
I think it's good for today. Let me save. Apparently, we didn't have any random wars. We didn't have any struggles for power. Which is good. It's a bit surprising. I was expecting at least these vassals to be pretty disgruntled, but my heir is a very good diplomat, so that has definitely helped. Yeah, so far so good. Maybe tomorrow I will conquer these territories as well, and then attack Pentos again. Yeah, we shall see. And that will be that, I guess. Alright, thanks everybody for joining. Be sure to throw a follow my way if you enjoy the stream. If not, send me some feedback. That would be helpful as well. I definitely take all sorts of feedback. I tried this little experiment regarding the the podcast related to Game of Thrones And maybe I'll continue it tomorrow as well. Maybe a different podcast, since this one is related to parenting and I don't think it's the best or most endearing one. But we will see. Thank you again. Have a great night and relaxing weekend. Take care.